You make it easier when life gets hard. Lucky I'm in love with my best friend. Lucky to have been where I have been. Lucky to be coming home again.
Okay, so this video is going to be a part of a series. It's called Trata Tuesday, which pretty much means try it Tuesday. So this Tuesday, we're just doing quick at-home nachos. Obviously, it's quicker if you buy chips from the store, but this is easier, tastes fresher, tastes better. It's just corn tortillas cut into triangles, and then I'm going to fry them in this oil as soon as it's ready. The ground beef has already started. Then we're going to have some refried beans. This is the seasoning for the ground beef, the tomato sauce for the ground beef. This is to drain the chips. I don't like them super oily, so they'll be drained in here first and then placed on a baking sheet. Velveeta is my favorite. Obviously, when you're making your nachos, it's whatever cheese that you like. It's whatever you prefer. Velveeta is the freaking best to me. So that'll go on the top at the very end just to melt. It doesn't need to cook, obviously. And this is just motivation for the chef. Thousand Island Winery in Alexandria Bay, New York. North Country Red is the best. You heard it here first. I put you on. You're welcome. So let's get started. Okay, so first things first, preheat the oven. It's 350 because you're not really cooking anything in the oven. The chips are going to be fried here. The ground beef is going to be cooked here. The refried beans are going to be cooked here. So everything's going to be cooked. It's just to kind of like melt it all together at the end. So it doesn't need to be high. 350 is fine. It's just to melt the cheese on and kind of melt all the flavors together. The oil's going. It looks like it's almost ready. So first things first is obviously to cut your chips. The shape really doesn't freaking matter. But so it looks like tortilla chips. They're cut into triangles. This is white corn. This is yellow. I prefer the yellow, but my husband prefers the white, which is why I have both. I'm gonna turn up this eye so the ground beef can start cooking. I am gonna take a chip and test my oil, see if it's ready. Oh yeah, that started bubbling right away. Now, initially, this segment was going to be called Pinterest Try Tuesday. So, instead of calling it Pinterest Try Tuesday, it's just Trátalo Tuesday. Because I'll be trying different things. So, in saying that, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you want me to try. It can be a natural hairstyle. It can be a nail polish, a kind of nails, like shape, color, whatever. It could be a different dish you found online in a cookbook. If you send it to me, I'll try it. So just, yeah, let me know. Today's nachos because it's super easy. The thing that's really being tested right now is how good these homemade chips are going to come out. So we're going to try it. And this isn't a Google or Pinterest thing. There are recipes on Pinterest to figure out how to make homemade chips. It's really not that hard. But this, she got it from her mama, okay? So I've watched a couple of these videos on YouTube myself, and people usually ask, like, what kind of pots and pans you're using because it does make a difference. This particular one is from an old Walmart set we bought when we first got married, but oil can burn and ruin your pots sometimes, so I didn't want to use my newer ones. And these are Aisha Curry. I absolutely love them. These were a Christmas gift from my husband this year. It comes with this little spatula and then a big scooping spoon, almost like a ladle, but not quite. Aisha, if you ever come across this, I love you, girl. Also, when cutting these tortillas, which obviously I'm done cutting them now, you are going to need to make sure that your knife is sharp because they're almost like, give it like a gummy feel in the center. So if your knife isn't sharp, it probably won't cut through or you won't get the shape you want. Not that the shape matters, but you won't get the shape that you want or the clean cut that you want. So you got to make sure you have a sharp knife. And you can see the difference. Like the super brown ones are the yellow corn tortillas. And then the white corn, even though all the chips darken, when they fry, obviously they still keep their color with the white and the yellow. Finally, the ground beef is going. It's taking a second there. And because I want them to like cook evenly and be crispy all the way around, I only put maybe 5 or 6 at a time. Not too much, because some of them will just be gummy and stick together, and you don't want that. Another thing, the chips are the base for the nachos. Obviously, they're going to be the first layer. So when you start cooking these, I would cook the oil first so that the chips are done first. And then when you're halfway through, which I'm about halfway through now, start the ground beef. And then like right before you do the beans. Because if you're doing beans, refried beans that come in a can, they're already cooked in this can. You literally just have to like reheat it. I thin them out a little bit with milk, and that's about it. And you heat them up in here, so that's not going to take long. So that'll be the last thing I do before I start layering the nachos on the baking sheet and put them in the oven. So now I'm probably going to go ahead and grab my seasoning. The seasoning, again, is another like preference thing. What works for me and my taste buds and what I almost always do for nachos is onion, garlic, black pepper, and that's about it. I used to add the paprika to make it a little bit more like spicy, but obviously my 2-year-old does not eat spicy, so I don't add that anymore, and it still tastes just as good. Some people like to use the taco seasoning packets where like all the seasoning was already pre-mixed for you and it comes in a packet. That's super easy. I don't like the taste, to be honest, so I don't buy those. But again, seasoning is obviously your preference. You can add the seasoning in whenever you feel like it, but the tomato sauce should go on at the absolute very end. I know this is common sense, but common sense ain't so common. So you have to put on the tomato sauce at the very end after you're done browning the ground beef, because obviously it's super pink when it's not cooked. And you want to make sure that it's thoroughly cooked through, because once you put the sauce on it, you won't be able to tell anymore because the sauce obviously turns it red. Wanted to be clear on that. So this is pretty full. I'm probably about halfway through with the chips, but because I don't like them oily, you can see the paper towel already has oil close to the top. So I'm going to take these chips, spread them out on this baking sheet, replace the paper towel that's in the bowl, and then refill a second bowl, and then we'll be done with the chips. Right now, I've checked my meat. Obviously, you take, a spoon or whatever, dig through. I've already done that. And then we can go ahead and add the tomato sauce and mix that in. Okay, so we're done making the chips. This is it. Important part, important. Before you layer on your beans and your meat on top of your chips, take a lemon or a lime. Lime is my preference. Lemon is what I had on hand. So you're just going to drizzle it. Doesn't have to touch every chip. It's not quite that serious, but put a little lemon juice. Like I said, lime is my preference, but lemon is what I had on hand. I've already grinded out some salt on the top. So you just pretty much shake the salt over the chips. It's just so it has, that salty chip flavor like at a Mexican restaurant. So it's just so it has flavor. Obviously, if you're cooking for a whole bunch of people, you can take your spoon or tongs or whatever, flip them all. Yeah. I'm married to one of the people that's going to eat it. I gave birth to the other, so they'll be okay with my hands touching the food. And it's just so you can get a little lemon juice and a little salt on all of the chips before layering on everything else, because you really don't want lemon juice in your beans. I mean, everything's a preference, but I don't. So make sure the chips get their own flavor before we add the layers. That should be good enough. And then we're going to start layering. For me, always got to have a jam session going on when you're making Mexican. When you're making anything, really, I jam to this in the shower or whatever. So let me put you in real quick. Everybody's heard of Selena. If you're not a fan, I don't know what you're doing. But this is the best jam session you will have in your life. It's got disco, it's got techno, it's got cumbia, it's got tejano, got a little bit of everything. I put you on, you're welcome. Obviously, everyone's heard of her and her music. If you haven't, you're living under a rock, or you too, because, you know, she passed a long time ago. But this is Selena's last concert. From beginning to end, I've never listened to it out of order. It's a jam session from the very first one to the very last one. It's so good. And because you don't want to have to, like, touch your phone or touch your computer or touch your radio or whatever you're listening to while you're cooking because you've already washed your hands and touched the food. So this is a good jam session from beginning to end. So now we're back to the beans. I've added a little milk in there because you see it comes out of the can really, really chunky. I like to thin them out a little bit. It doesn't really make a difference in the taste at all. It really just thins out the beans. So we're going to mix that together, and then the beans will be our first layer on top of our chicken. Another thing I wanted to add really quickly, if some of your chips are not as crispy as the others, like a couple of these came out maybe a little soft, almost a little gummy, it doesn't matter. Or even the lemon juice can make them maybe soggy-ish. It doesn't matter. You don't add them back to the fryer to make them more crispy. You could. It just really is not necessary because, again, all this stuff is going to go in the oven together at the very end. And even though 350 is low, it is going to make the chips that are gummy or got too much lemon juice or whatever, they're going to make them go back to, like, the crispy nature they were in to begin with. Alright, that's it for the bean layer. Again, it doesn't look super appetizing, I know, but once you add everything together, it's going to taste and look delicious. The ground beef layer is done. The last thing to put on it before it goes in the oven is the Velveeta cheese, so I'll be doing that next. I made a bunch of extra ground beef. Tomorrow, instead of eating nachos 2 days in a row, tomorrow's lunch we'll just heat up flour tortillas and boom, you have tacos. So, only thing left for this is the Velveeta layer, and then it'll go into the oven for probably like 5 minutes, and then that'll be it. Real quick. I also had extra corn tortillas already pre-cut into chips, so obviously you could fry more chips tomorrow. You could save them in a baggie without adding the lemon and the salt. If you want to have nachos again the next day with your extra ground beef, I'm not going to do that. Again, this is going to be tacos for lunch tomorrow. This is going to be breakfast. It's called migas. Some people know, some people don't. It's just corn tortillas with tomato sauce, cheese, egg. You can add potato if you want. You can add beans if you want. It's essentially the same thing as the nachos. You're just replacing the meat and the beans with eggs or bacon or whatever you want to add to it. In its simplest form, it's just tortillas, cheese, tomato sauce, and egg, and that's my favorite way to do it. If you want to see that, it really takes 5 minutes, but if you want to see it, leave me a comment down below. The easiest thing is to just grate the cheese right over the pan. It doesn't have to go on the bottom rack or anything like that because it's not cooking. It's literally just to melt the flavors together and melt the cheese. So we'll check on that in 5 minutes. Alright, obviously the melting of the cheese is to your preference, how gooey you want it or don't want it. So here it goes. Real silent right there so you can hear the sizzle of the deliciousness. Finished product. Hope you liked it. Again, this segment is going to be called Trátalo Tuesday. It's Trátalo, so I'll try it all. Comment down below. Let me know on Instagram or Snapchat. But my Instagram and my Snap is the same, Vida de Ashlita. So let me know. Comment down below. Yeah, take the plate. It looks delicious.
It sure does. I can't wait.
Big old mouth. It's so extra. Is it good?
Yeah.
I just finished on you right on time.
Always good.
Thanks, Pumpkin.
Thank you. Hold on, so me one more.
Greedy.
Every time we say goodbye, I wish we had one more kiss. I'll wait for you, I promise you.